You have been a leader in your own right. You have been at the helm of your own organization, and of course, guided other organizations. So, given your experience as a leader, what do you think is the role of a leader?
Inspiring people to exploit their full potential and to be in the path of learning. That's it. If a leader can do these two things, the followers, or so to say, followers will take care of themselves. And the leader will be redundant.
And that's what the win is for the leader, probably.
Absolutely. But today I don't actually need to do a single piece of work at all. And if you can genuinely and correctly say that, yes, I would have to communicate, I would have to put it together, I would have to present it, I would have to go before boards, I would have to go before committees, I would have to argue, I would have to defend, I would have to do all of that. But I don't need to do the original work, because that's already done through all the inspiration and all the self-motivation and the systems and the processes and whatever else. That's the soft infrastructure.
Great. Would I be correct in saying that you have been hailed as an authority in corporate governance?
Not really. I've served on over 100 boards and 100 committees. So that gives me a body of experience,
yes,
which some people feel is valuable. So
are we getting there in terms of corporate governance as a country?
Very much so, very much so. In terms of the frameworks, in terms of what is expected, in terms of the benchmarks, in terms of the way that we have evolved, we are certainly top of the world, no question.
But you still had incidences. Which
Now the problem is in implementing it in the last mile. So the top 100 companies in terms of quality of governance are world class. But the bottom 5,000 are in shambles. And that's where bulk of the work needs to be done. That's where all the inspiration and all the attitude generation and learning and all coaxing and punishing and all of that needs to be done. That's the big challenge for India. That's a big challenge.
Are you on social media? LinkedIn or
I
Facebook?
try to keep away from it because it can suck you in and take away your time. So the two pieces of self-discipline that I've imposed on myself is don't be part of any networks and don't watch television. So I don't watch any television. You might find it very, very counter the normal practice that you would expect any Indian to do.
So should I say your connections are actually real and they're not virtual?
Yeah, they're absolutely one-on-one with people, with the right. I mean, it's not that I don't watch any television. I would love to watch a featured program on CNN, or I would love to watch a BBC piece or a National Geographic piece. But I choose. It's not as if media is, whatever is there, I absorb it.
So
I want to have control over what I'm watching.
So there's absolutely no to news channels?
No. I mean, news channels I might browse through once in a while, but I'd rather get my news from my regular sources in the newspapers and online, basically.
Yes.
I get a whole lot of research, I get a whole lot of distilled news every day, which is the kind of thing that I want to read. So that is all distilled and presented to me.
As an individual, not as chairman or representative at various bodies, what are you focusing on in the next 1 year?
I'm focusing on business models and why they are broken and what can be done to fix them.
Okay.
That's going to be my next year's work. I can see that clearly. And it is the most important work in India today. Perhaps it's the most important work in the world.
Which suggests that there's too many business models which are broken.
Yes.
Or too many companies which are broken.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the truth.
And that happens, if it happens in a country like India, it's more...
It is all over the world.
Okay.
And it is because people have not anticipated the big changes. People have not anticipated the value of their currencies. They have not anticipated the inflation. They have not anticipated the interest rate. They have not anticipated the impact of government and public programs. So they were caught unawares.
Inflexibility?
Lack of being in the path of learning. Entirely. You can't be spending half your time on television and entertaining and on the golf course and expect that you'll be able to manage in these turbulent times. It requires a very different sort of dedication, commitment, right attitude, flexibility, nimbleness. It's very, 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 very important.
You know, when you mention these terms, I have one term which comes to my mind. It's called entrepreneur.
Yep. Yep.
So, are you looking forward to a lot of entrepreneurs coming up?
It is inevitable. The world cannot create all the jobs that people are looking for. The world does not have the ability to create them. Therefore, the world will have to create and make room for entrepreneurs. There is no choice.
Are you happy with the current state of entrepreneurship in India?
Lot to be desired, lot left to be desired. Because people have got used to privilege and entitlement.
That's true.
If I'm from X class of society, I will have reservation, therefore I have the privilege, and therefore I'll have a job, and I deserve it, and I must have it. Whereas the conversation should be that I need to make sure that I can create value. And because I can create value, there'll be room and space for me to do good work. And from the value that I create, I'll take away my share and leave the rest for the whole system.
Amazing, yeah.
And that conversation is not happening. The conversation is of privilege and entitlement. So everybody thinks it's the duty of every government to create jobs. They can't do it. Simply, every large government is largely bankrupt. Doesn't have the resources. Cannot have the resources. Because the resources have all gone into the community. And it is that community which has to regurgitate and churn out those resources into value. And that can only happen through teamwork and association and involvement and working together as entrepreneurs, all creating value. But that is something that I'm not seeing shifting hard enough, because ultimately the world is moving to a scale of one. Everybody wants everything in the scale of one, which he or she wants, likes, must have, has to be the right size, right smell, right touch, right feel, right everything. How can the world do it? So you'll have to empower yourself to produce and consume right there on your laptop, handheld, whatever. That's the new world, 20 years from today. So actual prediction. 2035 is the year in which this world that I am now describing will emerge. That's the prediction, mathematically proven. Logically, through graphs, through technology, extrapolations. That's the theory.
We see several such innovations already coming up.
Absolutely.
I was at this TIE
See it
summit
every
in
day.
December, where this professor from Singular University had come down.
Singularity.
Singularity, sorry. Yeah.
That's the book I'm talking about. The singularity is near.
Okay.
2035, Ray Kurzweil.
Amazing, amazing. So since you mentioned books, what kind of books do you read?
I must read at least 5 books a month.
A month.
And which I do
Great.
regularly. I have done for the last 30 years, at least.
That's
So,
huge.
So there's a very widespread reading Right now, my current reading is Search Inside Yourself by Chade Meng Tan, the Google guru who has put together the wisdom of the Buddha, which the Buddha enunciated in 82,000 lectures, which he gave in his lifetime. The only record of all those lectures was in India, in the bunch of universities which had established themselves in Bihar, around Nalanda, Takshila, and all of that. That wisdom flowed out from India, went into China and all the peripheral countries, and came back, and has now come back as Search Inside Yourself. I mean, this is the backdrop of Search Inside Yourself. So it's a fantastic book. It's a 2013 book. It's Google's gift to the world, in a sense.
Okay.
It's an in-house program of Google which Meng runs, and it's a fantastic program. So that's the book I'm currently reading. So I simultaneously read a few books. So the other book that I'm reading is Niall Ferguson's Ascent of Money. And the book which is next to be read is Taleb's latest book. So that's my sort of smattering of authors. And of course I read all of John Grisham, and I read all of Ayn Rand. And
so it's all cross-fiction, non-fiction, business management.
It has to be.
Any books you would recommend?
Singularity is near. Ray Kurzweil, I would recommend. I would recommend Search Inside Yourself. I'd recommend the whole series of 9 Insights and the 10th Insight, which was very foundational to my thinking, very foundational. So those books are, and Ayn Rand and Bertrand Russell. So actually, you got to be all the time reading. It's very important.
Does that bring out your spiritual aspect as well, the kind of books that you mentioned?
It does. It does. Because ultimately that's what it is. You know, you cannot know yourself unless you can be calm, and unless you can be attentive, and you can be mindful. So if you can't be attentive and mindful, everything else is just noise. And that's where you get attentive when you're calm, and when you notice, and when you follow, and you're with the flow. So that's
how it moves.
That's how it happens. Now whether you call it spirituality, or you call it flow, or you call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter.
That's probably a popular term. So
definitions I don't much care for. It's the spirit that needs to be captured.
Yes, yes, totally agree with you. Great. It was really nice having you here, sir. Thank you for all your time and the insights that you have shared.